like I said, I do provide a video overlay, but I mean, it's the best I can do really. And like my computer died. I've had like 3 computers, Mac Airs die in like the last year or 2. So I'm now using this computer from 2011. See how thick it is? It's like something that was on The Office, as well as these computers, right? Okay, so like I said, I just want to use this as an opportunity to do a little review of what we've done so far, because we haven't been in person, and then also at the same time use this as an opportunity, because this is actually the benefit of actually working in class, is actually like having you do the work in class. So you don't have to do it as much at home, and then I can look over it and tell you if you're going in the right direction and things like that. Okay. Okay. Let's make sure I'm on the right track here. Okay. Let's see here. All right, so actually, let me do the assignment first. All right, so then, and again, you guys have seen this already. This is actually is our Canvas page. Again, the assignments are listed here, okay? And what we have due tonight is this. Please, no, not this, I'm sorry. Duh. This. All right. Please write a story on someone you know. Okay, again, it can be a family member or whatever. 500, 800 words. I've had people often say to me, like, how do I get the 500 words? How tough are you in the word limit? And I would rather have like a robust 450 than, a 550, 600 that's planned, or that's padded essentially. Sorry, you are? Amber. Hey, Amber. Okay. So, this is not really a class for padding. I mean, and again, I probably said this in one of my videos, but the thing about journalism is that actually the idea is that you want people to read every word, and the editor reads every word. And if you've ever noticed, again, a lot of times you do like 10-page papers for classes, going back to high school and beyond. You'll only see like marks on the first couple of pages and the marks on the last page, because they didn't read the whole thing. So not everybody does that, but so anyway, please write a story on someone you know. So you think the lead is resembling breaking news alert on the phone, much as I talked about, or like I said, a tweet, that sort of thing, a complete sentence. And please write in a news story format that should follow this basic outline. I actually like to say that that's like my exoskeleton for an outline. I do subscribe a bit to the inverted pyramid. Okay, I may have gone over this already, but just as a matter of review, what is the inverted pyramid? I think we went over this from right in media. You're right, right. And why is it the way it is? Why is it shaped that way? Why is it upside down? Right, the fat part. And the other thing about this class is that they tell you actually like to teach it almost like writing for media, So I do have to do some of these things. So there is a lot of overlap. Okay. And then the least important stuff goes down to the bottom. To me, it's like not every story is like exactly like this. Sometimes I don't know what's the charge. I'm not a big math guy, but what's like a trapezoid? Sometimes I think it's more like a mushroom or something. Because you might have like some like really important details going throughout. But it is usually more like this, because what happens is you want the newest thing. It's you to know, the plural of new is news. Okay. You want the newest or unique thing at the top. And then, a lot of times like you're writing about something that's actually maybe something important that happened in somebody's life. But you don't want to write about things that you want to emphasize the things that happened way too far back. Okay. Maybe the big thing that happened in their life happened like 10 years ago, but you don't write about what happened 10 years ago necessarily at the top without context. You write about like what kind of an impact it has on them now, mean, if they got in like a big car wreck that changed their life, you'd want to know like what happened in the last 10 years. Are they still around? You could put it that way, you know, but it's true, right? But what kind of an impact has that had on their life now? Why would they even bring it up? It's something that happened like a long time ago and it still matters to them, okay? So that's how you should really emphasize the top of your story, okay? And then at the bottom of the story, that's, I don't know. The bottom of the story is when you get into the background, essentially what led up to the big incident or a big thing, a big unique thing about them that actually like separates them from somebody else, okay? Does everybody know what I'm talking about? Okay. All right. So again, every story again begins with call a lead. And I often phrase the lead like this, okay? That's how they spell it. That's how I know it's kind of like a little corny, but that's actually, they actually try to separate it as something that's known as a lead, L-E-A-D. It's the same concept, okay? I like to use transitions to kind of essentially divide the story up into points. So if you have an overall story about, let's say it's like a more topical story, like about, I think I went over this, Rutgers food, okay? You want to have transitions that separate, let's say it's a story about how people feel about Rutgers food. You want to have the story divided by transitions, you know, like what are the reasons, like let's say it's about the food sucking, okay? So basically you get into the who, what, where, why, when, how about it sucking, okay? So then you say, you know, well, probably one of the first questions is why? And then your first transition answers that question, okay? Usually it's some, most important one, some say it tastes bad, okay? And then you provide reporting to back that up, okay? Then, you know, maybe a few paragraphs down, you go to another transition. And maybe like, I don't know if this is true or not, but maybe another reason why they hate it is it's expensive, okay? Some students say they don't like it because it tastes bad. Other students say they don't like it because it's too expensive. And you basically kind of divide your story that way. You provide these points to back up the larger point, okay? All right. But we'll get more into that as we go along, okay? But that's essentially like how you build a story. That's how you get to that 500. Yeah, I am not huge word limit guy. The 500, 800 word is more of like more advisory than it is a rule, okay? But to me, there's like really no way you can build a story without, I mean, there's really no way, you can't have a substantive story if less than really less than maybe 450 or 500 words. You can't. I mean, you gotta, if you could find 3 points about somebody, if you can find like something unique, some unique angle about somebody, and you know, you can't find that's funny. I lost track of my eraser. You can't. It's on the floor. Great. Okay, thanks. If you can't find like 3 points to back up a larger point, then you're probably not doing enough reporting. Okay. That's all. It all comes out in the interview process. Okay. I mean, I can almost tell if a story is like, you know, not at that 500 point because it just doesn't have enough. It almost happens basically almost every time. I mean, I'll read it and I'll say like, this is not enough here. And then I'll check the word count after. I don't do it before, I do it after. And I'll be like, oh, 390. That's why. Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay. I talked about the importance of actually staying accurate, clear, and focused, okay, on everything, right? So basically that means staying single themed throughout the story. So, and that's why I mentioned that it's important to really kind of identify for your story what they would have in a headline or in the top of the story, typically that the Google algorithm searches for. And that's like a keyword, okay? Or a search term, okay? So you know, if you look at like this New York Times website here, it's one way to actually, one kind of trick to actually really kind of make sure that you stay single theme throughout the story, you stay focused, okay? So you make sure that it's like really stuck to like not just one topic, but one word even, okay? Because the idea here again is to be published and seen, okay? You want people to see you. You want people to like understand what you're writing so they can like extrapolate it and even put it on social media, okay? Just looking at what's on the New York Times right there, what's like some like search terms you can see right away, or at least one at least, you know, that probably like people would like obviously click for it still to this day. Yeah, COVID, yeah, right? Any veteran, not so much. It's like my generation, Pearl Jam. Okay, so yeah, COVID, maybe US would be a search term. Omicron, okay, going down into here, that's a search term. So you want to make sure that actually you have that, you stick to that overall theme, but the idea is to actually get even more specific than that. I like to say that actually every news story has an overall idea, okay? And, you know, that one particular case is COVID, okay? But then what really separates it from everything else is as an angle, okay? In this particular case, it's basically the plea for an endemic declaration. Everybody know what that means? That basically says that the pandemic's over, we're just gonna live with COVID. Take off the mask, everything else. So, which a lot of people, my brother's actually a scientist, and he actually like been saying for a while, he thinks Omicron will be the endemic. Yeah, it's good news. I don't know. So, all right. So that's what you want to make sure you're looking for is those key terms. So key terms would be COVID and probably endemic. Okay, US and probably governors. Okay, you want to make sure you stay on that single theme. All right. Any questions on that or anything? Or okay. And again, the idea is to really like make sure that you have something that actually can be, I don't know, I'll call myself up. I'm not Big Tom D. That's not me. You want to make sure that what you write about is sharp enough that it, again, it could be like extrapolated into a social media, to a social media post. And also it could be something that could be, I don't know, I just post stuff. Gene Hackman, old actor. I try to keep this thing active. He turned 92. You know, yeah, I know, Joe Rogan. Yeah, I watch football. That was something, huh? You ever watch football? Yeah, Chiefs losing, but they did that 2 years in a row. I know. God, it's weird, man. I'm actually old enough to remember when they last went. I'm also old enough to remember when Patrick Mahomes was a kid playing around in the Mets baseball. I'm a big Mets fan. His dad was on the Mets 20 years ago. That's him right there. With Mike Hampton, who was on the Mets for a year. Old TV star died. This is actually a COVID story. It's horrible right here. This guy right here, he was a trooper. He was declared himself as, or they declared him a celebrity. He basically left the police force in Washington State, and then he died of COVID because he wouldn't do the vaccine mandate. So I know. I don't want to necessarily get into politics here, but just telling you that's what happened. All right, but you can see that right here. Everything, even the non-news, even the posts written by people who are not necessarily in the news. This is Angle praising Trooper LeMay for retiring instead of getting vaccinated. So basically, it's newsy because it shows that actually it was a network that actually was with this guy and promoting this guy, you know, and this is what happened. But it's written in basically kind of like a lead style, very much a sentence. Okay, let's get out of here. All right. Does anybody have any? That's basically our review for what we talked about so far. Okay. Oh, and there's one other thing. And of course, I'm asking you guys for like a photo, okay? And I know I was kind of like really acting like a dork when I was trying to draw the rule of thirds, okay? But basically the idea is this is your kind of like your standard rule of thirds. There's one other thing I wanted to show you guys actually. I don't have like a ton of time, but anyway, I always want to try to like, I try to do like an hour, not an hour 20 usually. It's okay, you know, because I can't always get everybody's attention. It's not your fault, okay? At this time of day. I also have a meeting and I go to at 9:45, so I might go like an hour, 35, 40, whatever, you know. All right, so basically the idea again is that you want to try to like get like 3 different parts of your photo, okay? So again, the idea is a matter of view. So if you have a photo of a person, what you really want to try to avoid is like a vertical, okay? Because that's usually just shows the person's face, and not usually a lot happens up over a person's head, okay? And there's not enough room on the sides, so you try to get you want to get a horizontal, okay? Usually the place to get them is like right here. You see like a lot of politicians, you know, in their photos and stuff like that, and they always have like an American flag, right? You know, yeah, that's what they're going for, right? In that particular case, the rule of thirds doesn't have to be necessarily lined up like this, but it could be like that. 1, 2, 3, okay? Usually like right here's like a desk or something like that. You know, you want to like try to get like 3 different things at least going on in the photo. It's highly interpretive. And just to let you know, for this semester, I have a low bar, okay? And I mean it, okay? But what the one area where that goes over that bar is if it's a vertical photo, okay? Because that does nothing. There are vertical photos that are rule of thirds and they work, but you usually have to be maybe you are, but usually you have to be a pretty skilled photographer or lucky to get it, okay? So anyway, I mean, if you're getting like a picture of somebody at Rutgers, and you want to, it's a Rutgers student, and you want to show that this is like part of their lives, you would want to try to get like something Rutgers-y in it. It's difficult this time of day, this time of year, because to do something outside, obviously it's cold, but maybe inside you would show what? You would probably maybe show like a computer, you know, some of their student, maybe, and then, you know, somebody could have like actual Rutgers, you know, sweatshirts and stuff like that. So that would be also part of the photo. So the person, the sweatshirt, and maybe the computer would be the 3 parts of the photo, okay? So that's what you're trying to strive for. Maybe you're lucky enough to have them in their dorm room. And maybe there's like Rutgers stuff behind them on the wall or whatever, you know, that would work too, you know. Maybe you don't want to even go for the Rutgers angle because maybe that's not so much part of the story. Maybe because you're not interviewing a Rutgers student. So maybe there's something on the wall or on their shirt that actually is part of their personality or something, you know. Maybe they're like into martial arts or something like that. And they're wearing a shirt like that, and there's stuff on the wall or whatever. Okay. All right. So that's what I was basically trying to demonstrate when I was trying to do the rule of thirds. All right, one other thing. I did talk about in my last video a bit about there is a rubric. Now, this rubric is probably not like other rubrics you've seen, and I actually did post it this morning. It's under modules. And by the way, under modules, I also have a video. I put it under February 17th. I guess it doesn't really matter where it is, but I could actually put it up here. But I have essentially I did like a generic, actually it's video, I'm sorry. News writing's up here. We'll be getting the video. I have a generic how to make a video, okay? But we'll be getting to that. I have a generic how to write a news story video. So if you want to look over that, okay, I'll be getting more into that. But basically what I look for, it's more comprehensive, talking about the actual use of the leads and the transitions and anecdotes, stuff like that, okay? But like I said, we'll be going a little bit more specifically into that as I review your stories that we'll do to later today. All right, but I did the rubric I put actually up here in the week that we're actually in. Okay, so this is what I look for in terms of like, and again, I went over this in the video, but I actually did it kind of adapt it more to like the video and also the photography work. So yeah, I'm looking for something publishable, understandable, clear and focused, but you know, obviously the story is not just that, but also the photo itself in a video, I'm looking for something that, and I'll be talking about this. I want to, a lot of times when people make videos, they're in general, you ever notice that they're hard to follow, they pan a lot. I'm not a big fan of panning, by the way. Panning just makes the video screen like blurry essentially. Okay, we'll be talking about that, but it's very important to make sure that people can really clearly understand what they're seeing. Okay. And like I said, basically, it's something that's publishable is what I'm looking for in terms of your work here. Okay, something that would not necessarily go in the New York Times, but in Patch, the Target newspaper, that sort of thing. Basically B+ is something that's probably basically as close to like an A, but just needs some editing perhaps. Okay. B is basically like a B+, but more a substantial editing. It's very subjective. Okay. So C+ is potentially publishable and understandable, but lacks clarity and focus. It's basically something where like you read it and you say to yourself, like, I get what he or she is saying, but not every person would, so I get what, we're trying to present in this video, but maybe not every person would, and C+ is probably a little bit more substantial editing needed in that regard. Okay. I'm not a big believer in giving out D's or F's, especially on the first go around, to be honest with you. So I give out R's, to redo. And I very rarely ask people to redo a photo or I should say rarely ask people. I rarely ask people to redo a photo, and I very rarely ask people to redo. Well, no, I rarely ask people to redo a video. Okay, because they know how difficult it can be, especially early on, because I know that it'd be difficult to do that. What I really want to make sure and emphasize is that I want people to understand what they need to do to have accurate and clear and focused presentation. Okay. By the end of the semester, if you're still repeating the same mistakes in a video or something like that, I will actually say to you, yeah, you got to do better here. Okay. Especially, there's like some basic fundamentals to video making that are not too complicated, but that are very much like, what goes into a news story, about keeping it focused, about keeping it, having depth, and depth and content I'm talking about. But sometimes like people repeat the same mistakes, and I just say to them, no, you got to redo this. We got to add this. Okay. All right. All right. Does anybody have any questions about that? I know there's a little bit of a flyby there, but all right. So what I like to do for the next half an hour is actually like work on these stories. I hope you have your stuff with you or whatever. If you don't, then maybe, sometimes actually the best writing actually happens when you actually don't have necessarily your notes in front of you, and you just have maybe a general idea how the story is going to go. You write like an outline sort of framework. Okay. I like to say that actually like there's really like ways of handling reporting. That's essentially a listen first, and then you internalize. Okay. A lot of times people will actually go to an interview and they won't even pull out their notebook right away. Because they want to make sure that they understand what the person is talking about first. So you internalize, and then you write, and you summarize. And when you take notes, you don't necessarily write down everything they're saying, but you just make sure you summarize, you sum up what they're saying. Okay. Maybe like if they say something that's quotable, then you write that exactly the way it should be. So of course, it's also everybody pretty much uses an audio recorder now too. So it's also really good that idea to actually take notes while you're doing that. Okay. So all right, that's it. So how about we do that? Okay, I'll give you guys, and then maybe like within the next 10 minutes or so, I'll just kind of go around and see how you guys are doing. Okay. Thanks very much. Will be a video overlay for what I've talked about before. Okay.